Thanks for tuning in. In this video, we are going to talk about how to add value to your commercial real estate. These are some tips to help building owners make sure they're optimizing the value of their building. So this is our final tip, and that is to have your building and your spaces laser measured. Believe it or not, there are a ton of commercial real estate owners, people that own multi-million-dollar buildings that have no plans for their building. Sometimes they have the original construction plans from 30 years ago, and they're in old, dusty, rolled up plans. They're not digitized, they're not in CAD, and that's the reality. So it depends on the age of your building and the age of your plans. But if you have not laser measured your building in a while, that is something that I recommend. I think it can add tremendous value. When I am representing a buyer and we go to buy a building and the landlord says, yeah, it's 20,000 square feet, and you ask for plans and they don't have any, there's no as-built plans, you have no idea what was built with permits, what wasn't, you're not sure of the actual sizes of the spaces, like that is gonna sow doubt in the buyer's mind, and that is going to decrease what they're willing to pay for your building. On the flip side of that, imagine you're going to buy a building, and as soon as you open escrow, they send you over files in PDF form, in CAD, that are laser measured. You have BOMA measurements built in. You basically have the full up-to-date picture of how this building is built, what the sizes are, where the walls are. As you can imagine, that adds a bunch of value. You just feel way more confident in what you're buying. On the flip side of that, if you're buying commercial real estate and you're planning to do some significant remodeling, if the folks that sell you the building don't have any kind of plans and nothing in CAD, guess who's going to spend money getting it all laser measured as soon as you want to make those improvements and pull permits? The buyer, the new owner, is going to get saddled with that expense. Because if you want to go and make a permitted improvement to your building, you're going to have to give building plans. And if the folks that sold you the building don't have any kind of plans for the building, you're going to have to get them laser measured, and that's going to just add cost onto what's already probably going to be an expensive remodel. So, in my opinion, I think it's best practice for a building owner to laser measure and have their spaces available, digitized in CAD based on the as-built layout. Now, this can be a little expensive. Essentially, you're going to have someone come through and laser measure the spaces. It takes a little time. There is expense involved because someone's going to be there for a day, 2 days, scanning every single room. But what comes out of it, I think, is worth its weight in gold, because essentially, you know exactly what your building is, where the walls are, how big it is. The other potential upside is the standard that a lot of people refer to is BOMA. And BOMA is kind of the go-to measurement for commercial real estate. And so they're kind of the standards that everybody uses. What's interesting is those standards have changed over time. So if you bought your building 20 years ago, you might have bought a building that was 10,000 square feet, but those standards change over time. And in some cases, they've actually increased what can be considered common area. So sometimes remeasuring your building actually gives you additional common area to count as your square footage. So you can imagine adding even a few hundred square feet to your building when your building's worth $200 a square foot, that's going to pay for the laser measuring really fast. So before you laser measure, you can also ask whatever contractor you're using, can they see anything about this building that might add to the square footage? Because that can be a huge boon. So once again, no one likes to spend money, but I think if you're going to, having your building as built and everything measured is extremely valuable. It's also valuable for your marketing. If you have vacancies, it's going to be a lot easier to get tenants in when you have a nice, clean floor plan on that brochure. When I am representing a tenant or a buyer and we see the floor plan is, some handwritten thing, or the broker says, oh, well, yeah, this wall and this wall aren't there anymore, obviously that doesn't come across very well. So if you can have nice, clean, as-built plans for your marketing and for any conversation with a tenant or a buyer, that's just going to make you look that much more polished and sophisticated, which is never a bad thing. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you got some value out of these tips to improve your commercial real estate. If you want to talk about the value of your commercial real estate, definitely let us know. We do free broker opinions of value just to give you a little snapshot of what your building's worth. We're also happy to give you some specific ideas of things you can do to improve the value of your commercial real estate, in addition to these kind of basic tips we've talked about here. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Please hit like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your week.